This is Berberis thunbergii Atropurpurea, red leaf Japanese barberry. And you're seeing a nice grouping here. And this is a big green belt in a development. And this designer has used it in big waves to get impact between the green ground cover and the nice red foliage of this plant. And that's really what it's known for. Much like Loropetalum Plum Delight, it's got this very distinctive deep red, kind of wine red foliage. One of the things I'll say right off the bat is you want to make sure that these get bright light to get the most intense color out of the leaves. See some of the green down in the base there? If you put these in shade, which I've seen people do, they're kind of a muddy green color. They're not, and there's hints of plum in there, but you really don't want to do that. The whole reason you're probably using this plant is to get the color, and you will not get that so much if you put it in very much shade at all. So this is a deciduous shrub. They are bare during the winter, but you know, for how long they're colored up, probably worth it in certain applications. And one of the things you see over here to the left is a bunch of dry wood. Those are dead or dying plants. So one of the things I'll talk about right now is that this is not what I would consider a drought resistant plant or even low water. I find that if you cut the water back on these in our area, we have very low humidity, and the intense sun during the summer, along with not enough water, these sunburn. I see these sunburn all the time, and I think it's because a lot of designers do not realize that it's not the best to be putting in intense sun with low water. So that's true for crimson pygmy as well. But it's a very effective shrub. The deer leave this plant alone, so if you have bigger areas especially where you have deer, or it's a good barrier plant. This is a thorny plant. A lot of people don't want to handle plants that are thorny, but if you've got a green belt like this where you can really just let it do its thing and it looks natural in these groupings the way you see, the thorns really shouldn't matter. And size-wise, so it's 3 to 6 feet. I rarely see this plant over 4 feet tall in our area, and if I'm designing with it, I put these about 3 feet to 3.5 feet on center. So center to center, about 42 inches, maybe 3 feet, depending on if I want a little faster infill. And they have a pretty good growth rate. I mean, if you use these from 5 gallon, which I would suggest, you probably are going to get a mature size on these within 2 to 3 years. And they're very long lived. They're also very cold tolerant. The book says they can handle down to minus 20 degrees Fahrenheit. So like a lot of deciduous shrubs, it's set up to handle intense winters. So there's a lot of locations you can use this plant. And I think that's the main thing. I mean, as a designer, I always love colored foliage, and I also like this as a kind of medium-sized shrub, especially in this green belt you see here, or on a slope, as I mentioned earlier. I like a size that I'm not going to have to go in and contain, and gives me interest. It says that there's berries on this. I've never seen a flower or a berry on the red varieties of Berberis, by the way. And so again, the interest is coming from the red foliage, and I think that's plenty. And I think that's about it, what I can tell you about and soil. So again, full sun, average water, average to low water, but again, depending on your humidity and what kind of situation you have, and then seems to tolerate a lot of different soils. And that is Berberis thunbergii Atropurpurea, red leaf Japanese barberry.